Hey everybody, welcome to the fourth episode of Behind the Lou. I am Brennan. I'm joined as always with Sean and Adam. And today we are only a week and 3 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring trading. And so we're going to have this whole episode be dedicated mainly to Cardinals right now, just talking about what we expect from this team in 2023 and how each player can be impactful. So I'll go ahead and ask Sean, how are you doing today?
Doing my best. Still haven't seen a win since we started this podcast, so it's fine.
From the Blues, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Adam?
Doing all right. Uh, Trying to pray to God that the Pirates don't suck this year.
It's gonna happen. But anyway, so I guess we'll just go right into it and just talk about what they've done this offseason to try to make this team better compared to 2022. It was kind of quiet overall for the Cardinals, but I didn't think they really needed to do much besides maybe add another arm. But they did go out and get Wilson Contreras, which was a great signing for them to fill the void of Yachty leaving and bringing in someone that has that fire energy and is just a massive upgrade offensively than what you have currently and what you had with Yachty. So, that kind of like drives my point to it. I kind of want to compare how big of an impact Wilson Contreras is going to be this year because, I mean, you just compare what him and Yachty did. I mean, it's just night and day.
Well, it'd be nice to actually have a catcher who's hitting a lot more than Yachty was the past couple of years too.
Yeah. So, like, for example, this is last year for Wilson Contreras. He played 113 games and he had 22 home runs, a 349 on base percentage, a 466 slugging percentage, a 132 WRC plus, and put up a 3.3 WAR. Now that's really solid for your catcher. He's one of like the top catchers in the game. And just to compare what Yachty did last year, yeah, it doesn't look so pretty. Yachty played 80 games. He had 5 home runs and he put up a WRC plus of 83. He had a slugging percentage of 370 and an on-base percentage of 297. So you just look at that. And it also his WAR was 0.1. So, I mean, yeah, you're getting a massive upgrade. We all love Yachty, but I mean, what you're going to get for Wilson Contreras and for the cost of him, I mean, it's going to be night and day. And this lineup is a lot deeper, just adding that one piece. And I mean, that's just, I just wanted to know what you guys think. Like, do you think that he's like Wilson Contreras is going to live up to those expectations coming in? Or do you think that the pressure of him going to a new team and replacing Yachty is going to hurt him? Or do you think he will embrace it?
I really don't think the pressure's going to get to him at all. I mean, he's been wanting out of the Cubs for a while. It's like everybody else was. So, I mean, I think he's stoked to be in a better city with a better team with who are going to be World Series contenders, if not this year, then the upcoming few years. And I think he's going to do just fine because he's one of the catchers, like, as far as I know, as long as he's been in the league, not a whole lot of catchers are, like, offensively and defensively balanced. Like, a lot of catchers are pretty solid behind the plate, but their bats are, they're batting 8 or 9 in the lineup and can't really do much. And I think Wilson Contreras brings that nice balance that Yachty kind of left off in his later years of his career.
Yeah, and I mean, people want to talk about his defense, and it's not as good as Yachty's. I mean, that's just kind of flat out. He's more offensive catcher, but the main critique of him is his framing, and that has improved the last few years of just him getting more comfortable behind the plate. So, I mean, let me pull up the fielding percentage that he had.
Well, if you're going to talk defense too, like a main thing that at least I haven't seen a lot of talk about, Brendan, you can correct me on it, but is that, with Adam Wainwright being in his final season and whatnot and having to adjust to his catching style, it'll be very interesting to see if Wainwright goes up or down with it since he's so used to Yachty. But I mean, of course, he's played with other catchers before, like that. That's nothing against that, but it's just like someone of this caliber too, because I doubt Kisner really was challenging that. So
Right. So just to look at his framing overall, just to show how much he's improved over time. The year of 2018, his framing was negative 18.2 on Fangraphs, which is very bad. And then 2019, he jumped to negative 8.9, which that's a massive
the whole
increase.
10%, yeah.
And then he went to, in 2021, he went to negative 4.5. And then last year he was negative 3.5. So he's been improving consistently since 2018. And
just a question with that: do pitchers help in framing with that, or is it all in the catcher?
it's kind of with the catcher, but
Okay.
the one thing I think Cardinals they value defense, and
I know, yeah.
I especially when you're getting a guy from like Yachty, who's known as one of the best framers in baseball in his career, to someone who has been notoriously not good at framing. I think the reason why they were comfortable with that is because of the automated strike zone that might be coming in the next couple of years, because then it won't matter what the frames are. So
right.
that side of it is another thing why I think they were okay with giving him this contract for that long, because I think they know what his back can do. They know he can play DH. He can even play outfield at some points. He hasn't done much, but he can play outfield if you desperately need him to. He's a very versatile player, especially offensively. I mean, if you get if he can just keep improving defensively, and then improve the framing and have the automated strike zone, I mean, he will be a perfect fit here. So yeah, I'm really high on this signing. I think he's going to be one of the most impactful players on this team next year, if not one of the most on the offensive side, just because I think not a lot of people are talking about how much of a difference you're going to have when you don't have Yachty or Kisner behind the plate. Like, let me pull up Kisner's numbers. They were not good either.
You were very high. I remember last year you heavily criticized Kisner.
Kisner he played 97 games. So yeah, he had more than Yachty, obviously, because Yachty wasn't playing much. He was hurt a lot.
Or in Puerto Rico.
Kicking basketballs.
Yeah, kicking basketball.
Kisner had 4 home runs. He had 28 RBIs. He had a worse WRC plus than Yachty. That's shocking. At 79. And his slugging was 300, which was better than Yachty. His on-base percentage was 301. Yeah, I mean, you take that bat out of this lineup and you add Wilson Contreras to it. I mean, I don't think people are even talking about how big of a deal that is. I mean, you now have a lineup where most of your players are projected to have over 100 WRC plus for 2023. And I don't think a lot of people are really talking about that at all. And not to mention, you have Jordan Walker coming sometime in the year. Yeah. So, I mean, and just going into more of this team, I mean, Tommy Edman is the new shortstop. People were critiquing that we didn't go get a shortstop, which I understand. I mean, it would have been nice to go get another star player for that position, just because we've had a hold there for so long. But Tommy Edman last year, he was still really good. I mean, he still played elite defense for you. He could play second base and shortstop. Looks like this year he's primarily going to play second base. I mean, shortstop, my bad.
Yeah, because you have Nolan Gorman, who will be mainly second base, right? Or would that be Donovan?
You have, I think that we'll get into that in a bit, because that's going to be kind of interesting. But for Tommy, he had he played 153 games. He'll play a lot of games for you. He had 13 home runs, 57 RBIs. He had an on-base percentage of 324, a slugging of 400, and a 108 WRC plus. And he put up a 5.6 WAR, which is one of the tops in baseball. And it's because of how just amazing he is on defense and how solid he is at the plate. Like, he's not going to be, and with him not having to be the leadoff hitter anymore, since you got like Donovan and Nootbaar for that now. I don't think you'll have as much pressure on him, because he does not have as good of an on-base percentage as Donovan or Nootbaar does. So putting him at like the 9-hole, and that's your 9-hole hitter, you have a pretty good team at that point.
If you could have went and got a shortstop in free agency, who would it have been?
I would have won a Correa.
Yeah, Brennan.
Even after
I didn't care. I did not care. I would have gotten Correa. I would have signed that exact deal that the Twins did. I love Carlos Correa, dude. I don't understand why his leg, the whole ankle thing.
That was such a wild
John
saga.
Heyman put out a tweet. I do not believe this guy fully. He is the same guy who said Arson Judge is going to the Giants, but he said something like one of the doctors said that it was one of the worst ankles he's ever seen. I'm like, what does that even mean? Is it made out of plywood? Like what is wrong with his
turn
ankle?
The other way?
I don't understand the whole thing, but I don't know. But some people want to trade Turner, and I like Trey Turner, but the problem with Trey Turner for me, I felt like his profile as a player does not age well, just because he relies so much on speed. Like, yeah, he has good plate discipline, and he gets on base at a pretty good level, but I mean, I don't know his stats right off the top of my head, but he's just, I just feel like with his speed, it's just a tool. It's his most impressive tool, and that tool tends to not age well. So that's why I wouldn't probably go after Trey Turner, because he was probably going to be like, he signed for 10 plus years with the Phillies. So
yeah,
I just wasn't comfortable doing that. And then there was Dansby, and I don't want Dansby Swanson.
No.
He's very overrated. Like, he's a solid shortstop. It's just he's not the impact that you're going to need when you're signing him for $200 million plus. He's not that impactful as the guy worth that money. And he came off a career year and his free agent year. And if the Braves let him walk, then there's something. Braves don't usually let players walk, especially players that they develop. I mean, look at Michael Harris, Acuna, Albies. The only other player to walk was Freeman.
Yeah, I was about to ask, why would they let Freeman walk?
Well, Freeman, if you don't remember, I don't know who wrote the article, so I apologize for that. But I think it was Rosenthal. He put out that they, like, in the middle of the year, that he did not want to leave Atlanta, but his agent did not try hard enough to keep him in Atlanta. So because of that, Freddie Freeman hired a new agent. He wanted to stay in Atlanta.
Oh, no, I remember you telling me about that. So
and then,
his
agent
wanted him to go somewhere else.
Yeah, and then Freddie Freeman was expecting to was still talking with the Braves, and all of a sudden they do the trade for Matt Olson, and it was like, oh well, I'm not going back to Atlanta.
I'm not going back. You're not making me go back.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's messed up. But
that's funny.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, back to Tommy Edman though. I mean, even if he didn't go get a shortstop, Tommy Edman will definitely provide value in the shortstop position.
Yeah.
And another thing that people aren't talking about is in 2024, Mason Wynn might be ready. And he is a incredible defensive shortstop. He is 20 years old. He is, I can't remember what he was just ranked as for the Cardinals' top prospects. I think he was number 2. I've seen some people put him at 3. Yeah, for MLB Pipeline, they have him at number 2. He played in Springfield last year with Jordan Walker, and him and Jordan Walker are like best friends. So, I mean, you have like a duo here coming. I mean, his arm grade is just ridiculous. He, like, if you don't remember at the Futures game, he was the guy who threw over 103 or something like that miles per hour to first base. And it broke O'Neal Cruz's MLB record that year. That was broken that year. So
I think O'Neal Cruz came back and beat it thow.
No, he didn't.
I'm fairly sure he did. All right, I got to fact check you because I thought he did.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, Mason Wynn's just an incredible young talent with amazing defense capabilities, and he still has high upside with his bat. He doesn't have as much like raw power as maybe like a guy like obviously as a guy like Walker or Gorman has, but you have a guy who can play elite defense, and you're gonna have Wynn and Nolan on the left side. I mean, that's just disgusting.
Might as well build a big wooden fence.
Yeah. So I mean, you have the shortstop position seems okay. I know it would have been nice to get a shortstop. Yes, it would have been, but I am okay with the decision of them not doing it just because, I mean, you have enough offensive potential of this team already. in that position with Tommy being there, and they kind of want him to be the setup guy and the 9-hole, like almost like a second leadoff hitter. And he will play every day. He'll put up good defense, and then he'll come through and clutch moments when he needs to. And he still destroys left-handed pitching when he bats right-handed. I mean, his splits, lefties versus righties, are ridiculous. If you haven't looked at them, I highly recommend you do, because, I mean, this dude is just a monster left-handed, right-handed compared to left-handed. So versus righties last year, my God, let me pull up the whole thing here. I think he had like a 140 WRC plus. It was something ridiculous, but he only had like a 108 versus lefty. I can't pull it up right now. My Fangraphs is being stupid. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you're going to have, like, if you have time, you'll go look that up, because it is incredible to see the splits with that. And then that kind of the round out the infield, because we already know what Nolan and Goldschmidt can do. We have the second base position, which is going to be really interesting to see who gets that role. I think with Gorman, his defense is not as good as what they probably would want it to be at second base, especially with the shift going away. I think they're kind of worried about him being in that, like, I guess, a defensive player. Like, they know his bat can play, but when you look at his defense numbers, they're not as good. Brendan Donovan is actually not as good of a defender as some people might put it out to be, but he's still serviceable.
He's such a good battler,
but he can play everywhere. He can play everywhere, and he can play it solid. He's not going to be elite defensively, but he can play a solid defense to where you feel comfortable putting him at second base and putting him all around the diamond. And I think what they're going to do is I think Donovan will get the majority of the starts as second base. Because, I mean, you have to have this guy in your lineup, especially probably in like the 1-2 spot in your lineup. He had an on-base percentage of 394. That is ridiculous. That's elite. That's an elite on-base percentage. And you need this guy at the top. You know how long it's been since you had a guy at the top of the lineup for the Cardinals who can get on base at the level that he does? It's been years. I mean, the last guy to hit leadoff was Edman, and Edman does not get on base at a good level. And then you had Dexter Fowler, and we're not going to talk about Dexter Fowler. Congrats on your retirement, by the way, Dexter. I'm very happy for you. But anyway, I mean, this dude is ridiculous at getting on base. He has good discipline. He walks a lot. He had a 12.8 walk percentage. He does not strike out. He had a 15% K percentage. And the thing is that some people might say, oh, well, it's his rookie year. What do we expect from him going forward? Well, I'll tell you exactly what to expect. In 2021 in AAA, he had a on-base percentage of 389. 2022, 385. And then in AA, he had an on-base percentage, and it is in 2021 AA. He had an on-base percentage of 411.
That's wild.
This guy is, and then what's this one? Another 2021 in A+, he had an on-base percentage of 385. So I mean, this dude has consistently, and through college, in his college days, he was consistently being an on-base guy constantly. And it's just he's going to be a guy that you have on this team for a while, and he's going to be your leadoff hitter or second hole hitter to get on base all the time. So
he's like all reliable.
Honestly, even from the games that we watched last year for me and Brennan, watching Donovan play, he's just such like the compete level to just stay with the pitches and reading them and just keep battling and battling. It was so impressive. Like, I'm not the biggest I'm not the biggest baseball follower, and I can keep up with the names and whatnot, but I don't follow stats. But even just from the eye test, Donovan is a battler, and I love to see that. He's quickly become my favorite Cardinals player to watch, just from how much he just competes and gets on base consistently.
Yeah, he's just, and like the thing is like I said, he's just going to consistently do this for you. And he was just like, I don't know how else you can put it. And then on top of that, what he can do offensively and just getting on base, you have a guy who also puts up a 129 WRC plus. Like
Yeah.
this dude's a monster.
I'd
With
rather
that, like
take people like
he's so
him.
consistent.
I'd rather take people like him that gets on base consistently, like every game. You can expect him, like especially when it's like bottom of the 8th inning, top of the 9th, whatever, and you need a run, you need a guy to get on base, and he comes up. I'd rather have him at the plate getting ready to get on base rather than someone who I always go to in this conversation, Pedro Alvarez for the Pirates, who would literally either strike out 500 times a game or hit bombs, and that was it. There's no in between. So I'd rather have a guy who's consistently on base all the time.
The one thing I hope he does do is I hope he steals a little bit more. I hope with the bigger bags that kind of encourages him to do that. Because if you can have a guy who can. Oh, he had 2 stolen bases last year.
Well, how much bigger? How big are the bags getting?
Oh, how big are the bags? It's like, let me see, MLB base size change.
I didn't know what they were doing.
They increased, so they were traditionally 15 inches square, but now they are 18 inches square.
Wow.
And I mean, if baseball's a game by inches, how many times have you seen a guy just get out by a couple inches? I mean, that could change that completely. So
that's gonna surprise a lot of basemen too whenever they go to the reviews for those close calls.
Yeah. And then the other thing with Donovan, he could, like I said, he can play anywhere. So I mean, let's say Gorman's hot right now. Like, let's say he's raking because he's a guy. Gorman's kind of a guy I expect to go have ups and lows a lot just because of his the way his profile is. I mean, he can play first base, he could play third base, he could play left field, he could play right field. I don't think he played a game in center. He might have played one, but he'd probably be more on the corners. He can play shortstop if he needs to, but I don't know if I like him there just because he's not as good defensively as some people would put him out to be. But if you have him at like second, first, third, and the corners, I mean, you have a lot of movement there for guys to get off days, keep them fresh, and be able to get other guys opportunities to play. And I mean, this roster, what Ollie has right now is so dynamic. I don't think the Cardinals have seen a lineup this dynamic maybe ever. Because I mean, like, how many guys you can move a lot of these guys anywhere you want. Like you have Edmund who can play outfield if you really need him to, even though they probably don't want him to. You have Donovan who can play everywhere. You have Yepez who could play first and outfield. You have Gorman who could play second, and they might try him in outfield. I mean, you have so many options to just move this team wherever you need to get the best guys in at all times. So
and that's why I think you guys are the most dangerous team on our side of the country right now, because you have so many spots that could just be switched around. And I mean, like when Arenado and Goldschmidt are healthy, those are your corner pieces in the field. Like
yeah, they're the superstars. So.
Everything outside of that, besides obviously catcher or pitcher, you could just flip them around. You know what I mean? And you'll never know. Like Donovan can go play this spot this day, and then somebody's not having a good day. Like you said, Gorman's having a bad day. He can go play second, or he can go play wherever he wants. You know what I mean? And those teams are always the ones that are completely dangerous because there's unpredictable.
Yeah, it's
my headset just completely went out when you were talking.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea what you said.
At least Sean
I heard it.
That's all that matters.
He was just complimenting how dynamic and the depth that we have is really good.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know why my headset just did that. But anyway, moving on from Donovan, I want to get into some Gorman here. Because Gorman is the other second baseman option that you have. Gorman is an interesting piece to this puzzle because there's times where you think about it, I don't know if he has a spot on this team, but you need him on this team. He is a guy he's a left-handed power bat that we have not seen in the Cardinals organization in a very long time. And there's not one right now that exists in the Cardinals organization. So that's why I don't want to trade him, is because you don't have anyone available for anything with, you have anyone that has his potential at all. So I was just wondering, what are your guys' opinions on what you expect from Nolan Gorman right now?
Just to be I was going to say, just to be the standard designated hitter, honestly. That's all that makes sense to me. It's just the fact that, he's a young guy who's come up, and even last year with the stories that were said about him and everything, and I think he had that really good storyline where he was playing with that pitcher dude. I forget his name. I think it was Libitor.
Matthew Libertor.
Yeah, I think it's because they were like childhood friends, and they had that really good story that went along with it. Just like there's a lot going with him, and I think it's just best for him to continue the slow development as a designated hitter. And like Brennan has said, he is a power hitter. Like that's his role, is to just be that guy that, like, all right, we got two people on base, let's go ahead and throw him in. You could probably win us the game right here. That is your role. I think he can fulfill that. I also think though it's going to take probably another year of understanding the MLB and keeping track of the ball as it comes to, because I know that was a big thing. I think one of his problems was that he had a problem hitting it fast and up high. He couldn't track it well as it was coming towards him. So I think he still needs just another year to get less green. But after that, he should be good, like in a standard within the team.
And the MLB, like how you said, just a year to develop more. And the MLB is always different compared to all other sports because you're picking up all these so-called rookies, even though they could be playing. Most of them playing in the minors it could be 3 years, 4 years since they've been drafted or traded for or whoever. So I mean, people don't realize coming from the minors to the league is a huge jump.
Yeah,
and for most teams, no matter who it is, it's a pretty big gamble trying to just take somebody out and just throwing them on the field, expecting them to be who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that with Gorman, because a lot of people don't want to talk about what Gorman has done in this past. Just moving up levels through the ranks. I switched headphones, by the way, because my other headset just would not work anymore. Just kept disconnecting. So, anyway, you look at what he's done just through his career as just going through the levels. He would struggle coming in to like a new level, and then he would just rake. Like, for example, in 2021, when he went from AA to AAA, when he went to AAA, like the few games that he did play, he played about 76 games in AAA in 2021. He had a 106 WRC plus at that point in AAA of the first year. But then the next year, when he came back in 2022, in 43 games, he put up 133 WRC plus. He hit 16 home runs in 43 games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. That was like, he was the hottest hitter in baseball going like at the beginning of 2022. And it's like, I am expecting Gorman to come in the MLB next year and shock some people, because do I expect him to do that? No, because I think he's just the guy that I expect he's going to strike out a lot just because of his profile. He's probably won't be on base as a really high clip, but I mean, you have a guy who has light tower power. When he makes contact, it's going to absolutely go for over the fence. It's just, It's just how he is. And that's what power hitters are nowadays. You're going to have to take some and give some. And even if he's just a DH type, I mean, you got to give him this opportunity to play. The talent's there. He was a first round draft pick. He won the high school home run derby in the United States. This dude is a elite talent that's been talked about for a long time. And you just need to give him patience. He is 22 years old. This dude is huge. He's 6'1", 210. He's a stud.
Let this kid get into a rhythm, and then all these people who are doubting him.
He'll be in a rhythm. And people have talked about that he sometimes works too hard. Like, what I mean by that is he puts too much pressure on himself. And if you just he's a hard worker, he will get adjusted, and he will make that adjustment. Now, I can completely understand why people maybe want to talk about trading him. The only reason why I understand it is you do need some starting pitching, but this is a tough guy to give up. Because again, what I'm saying, when has been the last time you have a guy who's a left-handed power bat that we've talked about we needed this entire time, and he can put up 30 to 40 home runs for you in a season? I mean, we have not had a guy like this in so long. that, and we've been clamoring for this. You've been wanting a Schwarber. This is a guy that can be a Schwarber type.
Right. Just
And
an
it's like,
absolute unit.
yeah, you got to give him an opportunity to show what he can do. Now, I think Gorman's fate depends not on just what he does, but what others do. And that's kind of like what the whole thing of this whole storyline of the season is going to be really interesting is who is going to rise and who is going to fall. Because there's going to be some players that could be possible that some players don't even seem like they're falling, but they didn't do enough because you have so many options coming. You have so many options that can take that spot from you like that. And it could be a very competitive environment for this team to just try to make themselves better. And we could see an amazing year out of these guys. So it will be very interesting. And Gorman's one of those players that I think has a lot to prove. And I think he has a high upside to do it. Like he has high percentage to do it. So moving on from Gorman, we just have the outfield now. I'm going to start with a fan favorite of Cardinal Nation, and that is Lars Nootbaar. And he is he is a man. Lars Nootbaar. This dude is awesome. 25 years old. Man, I just love what he can do. His defense, amazing. His arm strength is incredible for a corner outfield spot. He can even play some center. And then in 2022, he put up 14 home runs, on base percentage of 340, a slugging of 448, a WRC plus of 125 with a 2.7 WAR in 108 games. That's impressive.
Is it fair to say that Nootbaar is the reason why we were able to trade another fan favorite in wow, I'm blanking on his name. The dude we got Jordan Montgomery for.
Oh, Harrison Bader?
Yeah, Harrison Bader. Do you think it's fair like his emergence is what was allowed Mo to
I don't know because a lot of people, like if you just watch the games, I don't think a lot of people really knew what Lars Nootbaar's potential was.
Yeah,
people loved him. People loved him just because of his name. Some people, I will be the first to admit, I don't know if I was that high on him going into 2022. Not because I didn't think he could be a solid major leaguer. I just did not think he would do what he was doing. And he struggled in the first half, and he was up and down. I don't know. They saw something, and I think they just saw his bat-to-ball data, because if you look at his Baseball Savant page, there's a whole lot of red in that. It's all red. This dude can hit, and his advanced analytics are ridiculous, and he's still getting better. He's at Driveline constantly this offseason trying to improve his bat speed. This dude is... I mean, I don't know what the potential of this guy is. Like some people are high, like really high on him, and some people are really low. He's a very mixed bag, but I think overall, a lot of people love this guy just because he's a fun guy. And I think the one thing about Bader is I think he did a really good job on taking that like funny guy role that Bader had, like just in the clubhouse in general, and just kind of like the personality of the team. Lars Nootbaar kind of took that and ran with it, and he got that opportunity. He was bringing a salt and pepper shaker and doing the pepper grinder thing. You know,
I still love the story that he tells with that, where they were all at a restaurant. And he just asked the waiter, just like, "Hey, can I buy that?" And they're like, "What? The pepper?" And he's like, "No, the whole thing. Just give it to me right now. I'll give you the money." It's such a funny story.
And I think it's really interesting because some people want to talk about Lars Nootbaar and just say, I don't think the main reason why some people aren't as high on him is because he wasn't a top prospect. You know, you talk about Jordan Walker, talk about Gorman and guys like that. These guys were talked about high. But you know who wasn't? Is Nootbaar and Donovan and Edman when he was coming up. And they're some of like the most key players of this team. But I think Nootbaar was hurt a lot by like prospect rankings due to the 2020 season and just not being able to be able to be noticed as much because the 2020 season there was no minor league baseball being played.
Right.
So
can I hammer on that real quick? Is just the fact that due to everything that happened around the world in 2020 and everything, we have a whole year of prospects, regardless of it MLB, NFL, NHL, anything, and NBA. There's a whole draft class that we have no clue what they will be. It is the most like mystery box of a player draft class I think the world will ever
You know
see,
what's
and that's so
crazy?
fascinating.
Speaking of, but just kind of taking a break from that, since you talk about drafting, did you know the 2020 MLB draft for the Cardinals was probably one of the best MLB drafts ever? Like honestly, it could.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
like
so fascinating.
you had in the first overall pick was Jordan Walker, then you had Tink Hence, then you had Mason Wynn, then you had Alec Burleson. These guys are like your top 5 prospects in baseball, and you draft them all in like the first the 1 year. Like I mean, Randy Flores did a hell of a job in 2020, and the fact that he got Walker, Wynn, he got Burleson was. I have to remember. One of them was a compensation pick for losing Ozuna. Let me find that out. But yeah, I mean this this draft class is just ridiculous.
Yeah, not only that, Brennan, but and even switching to the NHL side real quick, is that, and for St. Louis, in 2020, we chose Jake Neighbors, and he was 26 overall, and he's doing better than the 6 overall. Now, I understand that could change, or not the 6 overall. Who was it? The 7th, or shit, sorry, 7th overall in Alexander Holtz. And I understand that, it's still early on, but the fact that, I cannot stress how much of a mystery draft all around in sports 2020 is for everyone. That's just so fascinating, and we'll never get to see anything like that.
Yeah, and so I found out who it was. Alec Burleson was the compensation pick for losing Ozuna. So he's another guy we haven't even talked about because I don't know what his role is. He's a great player, but moving on back
to the stuff because we got a lot to still cover.
Yeah, back to Nootbaar. I mean, he is. You know what he did in 2022. His projections on Steamer, he's projected to have a 124 WRC plus, which is pretty consistent with what he had last year. He is expected to have 17 home runs, 54 RBIs, an on base percentage of 343, and a slugging of 440. So it looks like they have him kind of remaining the same overall. But I mean, I think some people are overhyping just a little bit. I love Nootbaar, but some of them are I've seen people compare the Babe Ruth, and I think it's just a joke, but it's just really funny.
Nope.
But he's a fun guy to root for. I mean, but his ceiling's really high. So I mean, he could be a 30 home run guy, but I don't see that happening this next year. I hope he shocks me, but I think we could see a year kind of consistent of what was what we saw from him last year, and like what we saw mainly in the second half. And I'm perfectly okay with that, to be honest. I think you need a guy like that who's just a good on base guy. Again, a left-hander. He has power that can show up. He has great exit velocity and barrel rates. He does not strike out a lot and plays good defense. I mean, give me that. I'll take that any day of the week, especially for an outfield position. Now, the 2 other outfielders that I think are the biggest question marks for 2023, Dylan Carlson and Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see.
Now,
you said this a lot too, and this is the biggest factor with it, is where Juan Yepez is going to come in and take one of their spots.
You mean Jordan Walker?
Or Jordan Walker, yeah, sorry. And it's going to be so fascinating to see this competition internally with them.
I saw there was this podcast, the Hard 9 Pod. I know Caleb Noble I talked to him on Twitter a lot, and he made a good point that I didn't really think about doing. And they talked about doing a platoon of Nootbaar and Walker, not Nootbaar and Carlson, sorry, in center field, Walker in right field, Tyler O'Neill in left, because Carlson has not done well against right-handed pitching. He destroys left-handed pitching. It's kind of like with the whole Edmund scenario, but Carlson's significantly worse with that. I don't know if they want to do a platoon of Carlson and Nootbaar, because I think that could work out, and I think that could be a fix, but I don't know if that's the long-term fix, because I think they want Nootbaar in there every day. I mean, Nootbaar does not struggle against lefties as much as Carlson struggles against righties. And I think they would love to have Nootbaar there because he could still get on base at a high clip. So, and Tyler O'Neill, I don't know if you want to take Tyler O'Neill out of the outfield just due to the fact that he has 5 tools. He's a 5-tool player, and he's a guy that we've seen be an MVP candidate just 2 years ago. And he was unhealthy last year, and they're changing his whole offseason plan to make sure he's healthy for this year.
Do you happen to know the whole injury list that he had last year? Just off
or just a lot of hamstrings. A lot of hamstrings. I think he pulled his hamstring twice.
Okay.
And I know he had like a shoulder issue in the beginning of the year. I believe that was the majority of them, but like, I don't know. I think Tyler O'Neill will be the most likely to be moved only because has only 2 years of control. But at the same time, if he comes out and do 2021, Tyler O'Neill, why would you trade that? I mean, you might need that guy to be on your team, especially when you have like you have a lineup of 2021 O'Neill with Contreras, Goldschmidt, and Arenado. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Then you have Jordan Walker coming who could be that. I mean, this team is ridiculous, and I don't know what they're going to do, but it's a good problem to have. And it's going to be a very interesting spring, see how it goes. And the WBC, I said last episode, I didn't know if Tyler O'Neill was going to be in the WBC or not. He is going to be in the WBC representing Canada, so that'll be pretty cool to see. But, yeah, I just don't know what they're going to do with the whole setup of everything because, like, there's so many things could go right for this team. But as we all know, injuries happen, and the people will be moved in and out all the time. And I mean, some people thought they knew what last year was with Harrison Bader, O'Neill, and Carlson as your outfield. And then the playoffs, you had Corey Dickerson, Juan Yepez, and Nootbaar in your outfield on game 2.
Yeah.
So so many things can change in a season. Injuries happen, underperformance, overperformance. Like, there's so many different ways. And I think a lot of Cardinal fans kind of stress themselves out on what to expect from this team and what they expect this outfield to be. And I don't think there's really a need to stress out about it because there are so many options. If one way goes wrong, you have a really solid plan B, plan C, and whatever. So they're in really good hands in the outfield. But I go back to Tyler O'Neill a little bit. I think he will bounce back. I think he will be. I don't know if he'll put up 2021 numbers, but I think he'll definitely be more improved than last year.
Yeah, he'll definitely be a lot better.
Because even when he was healthy last year, like he still put up a 1.3 WAR. He was not healthy. He had a 392 slugging, and he had a 101 WRC plus, which compare that to 2021 where he was putting up a 144 WRC plus and had a slugging of 560. I mean.
Dude was balling.
I mean, that dude was a monster in 21. And he is projected. Fangraphs really likes him for 2023. They have him as a 119 WRC plus, a 453 slugging, and a 317 on base percentage with 26 home runs. With 100, they have him projected to play 130 games. If he can do that, I'm all in. That's a big upgrade. I don't need him to hit 30. I mean, you have so many guys that can hit you 20 to where you don't need another guy that can hit you 30. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as much of a need. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Tyler O'Neill will bounce back. I think I know the one thing is with Dylan Carlson too. Sean, I was wondering, who do you think will have the better season, Tyler O'Neill or Dylan Carlson?
I got O'Neill.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me,
I confidently can say O'Neill.
Well, I mean, the thing with Carlson though that's interesting is Carlson was also a top prospect. I think he was in the top 20, I believe, in all MLB. I don't remember, but I mean, he was still pretty high. It's just Dylan Carlson. I think the thing with Dylan Carlson is I don't know if people really know what he is. Because I don't think he's a 30 home run guy. He's not going to be that. I don't know if he's even a high on base guy. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people know what he is because we've seen him do so many different things. Like in 2021, he had an on base percentage of 843. His OPS was nuts in 2021. Let me find that. But what were we going to say, Sean?
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on Alec Burleson? Too, because isn't he projected to make it into the roster this upcoming year, or is it still up for debate?
I mean, I think he might just because he's played here already a little bit. But the thing about Burleson is it's hard. I really like what he can do. He put up like 30 plus home runs last year in AAA, and there's another minor league outfielder AAA who did the same, Moises Gomez. Like, these guys have nothing to prove. Moises Gomez. This dude is...
Dude, these names you guys are throwing off are wild.
You got your Moises, we got your Burlesons, we got your Snuggeruds, we got everything you would ever want to name.
Dude, we got Snuggerud, we got Lars Nootbaar, and Moises. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what to expect from these guys because, I mean, Gomez, I don't know if I'm as high on, but the thing with Gomez is his bat to ball data. You know, like I can't remember who tweeted it, but I saw it a while ago. He had something like some of his like batted ball numbers were like comparable or better than Aaron Judge last year. Which I don't think he's Aaron Judge because it's just a completely different player. But I'm just saying, like, he has raw power that is incredible. I mean, this could be a guy that we don't even know could make the team, and he makes the team. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. I think there's so many options. There's so many trade pieces. They can't keep them all. Yeah. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how the first half goes, to get all these guys opportunities, see how they do, and make the decision at the deadline on who you're going to run with in October. But Dylan Carlson, back to him a little bit. He plays a good defense in center field. I really like him in center. I think I like him in center more than Nootbaar, just defensively. I think I like Dylan Carlson's arm more. That play he did against the Mets was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, that was wild.
But
dude's got a cannon.
I mean, I think I like Nootbaar more in a corner, personally, just because I think his arm just more... I think his profile just projects more to be a corner outfielder. But I mean, he can play center if he needs to. But I think I like Carlson more just because that's what he's been doing this entire time.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, the best positive thing to say about this upcoming Cardinals season is that it is a year to be excited for, experimental wise, and to see growth wise within the organization and stuff. Because, you know, even you look at front office, you're either keeping Mo or moving on, and you got another year with our Ollie training up everybody and managing the team.
I'm really excited to see what Ollie does this year.
Yeah, like, and last year was Ollie's first year, right? Or was that the year before? Yeah, like
his first year, and to take the team to that next level to win division and everything. Like, in the second half was nuts, and to manage Albert Pujols the way he did not. I think Albert wasn't an ego guy, but you know what I mean? This guy is about to hit 700 home runs, and you're benching him in the first half. It's like, you're not playing.
If it was any other manager, do they help
Albert get
to 700?
Oh, no.
That's a great thing to think about with it, too.
Mike Schilt would have put him in every day, and I don't think Albert Pujols would have made the adjustment that he needed to. Mike Matheny would have definitely put him in every day. And, like... I some people were hard on Ollie, but I think overall Ollie's perception is really high. Ollie is a guy that I think could be one of the best managers in the National League for the future. And I think I'm really excited to see what he does with this team, especially with this group of young guys coming. He has these guys and he can mold them into whatever he wants them to be. And it's like it was the perfect time to let him come in and try to take over and do what he needs to do. And he's a very analytical guy, which you have not seen through the Cardinals manager decisions in a while. I thought his bullpen decisions were really good as well. I know people will bring up the wild card thing. Ryan Helsley was your shutdown guy through 98% of the season. You're going to put him in that. I mean, you could critique if you had a bullpen guy up ready. You should have someone up ready sooner. But, I mean, again, Ryan Helsley was the guy all last year. So yeah. I'm not going to be that mad at him for that. But and I thought he had some moments to where you could see rookie mistakes. Like, I thought the playoff lineup was kind of interesting. I don't know if that was him or if that was the DeWitt saying, "Oh, let's bring back nostalgia and put Albert third or either third or second." It didn't make sense. They put Donovan at fifth when he never really did well in fifth that season. But it's just, overall, I'm really high on Ali Marmol. I think he is he's a breath of fresh air compared to what we've had.
He is definitely the right guy to manage the team.
He's definitely the right guy. And I think just him, I mean, look what he did with Wilson Contreras, for example. I mean, he was there to try to recruit Wilson Contreras onto the team. That he went to Florida with Mo and talked to Wilson for hours about coming here. And Wilson had a lot of respect for Ali, and that's been shown just through like the interviews, like the press conference when they introduced him to the Cardinals. So yeah, I'm really high on him. I think he's just going to bring another level of leadership that we haven't seen in a long time.
Dumb question though, just cause it's kind of funny for me. So it was Mozeliak, him, and Contreras that are going to like lunch and stuff, right, to go talk about the contract. Who do you think picked up the bill? Like, these are dudes who make millions of dollars. Who picks up the bill in that? I'm just kind of sorry. It just kind of was going through my head.
I think Ali. I think Ali was wearing. I think Ali was wearing I think he was wearing a button down. He had 3 buttons open, and he just like opened up the little thing and slapped his Capital One credit card right in there.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't lay it down. He handed it to the waitress directly.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice guy, Ollie.
He said, "We don't need any boxes."
Talk about questions. You guys want to move on to these questions that these people asked, or what?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk before we get into that, where the whole Q&A thing. I want to get Sean's opinion on the whole Vladdy situation with the Blues. What did you think about Vladdy's comments about the All-Star game with someone asking him, how does he feel about this being the last appearance as a Blue? And did you think he actually wants to come back?
That was such a good interview from Jeremy Rutherford too. And I've always loved Jeremy Rutherford's work, and I'm glad to follow him finally on The Athletic with it. That whole interview was a rare thing to see, honestly, because, you know, the big thing that was talked about was the fact that he hasn't rescinded his trade request and stuff, which I really don't think that matters at this point. What was the most interesting part of it was the fact that Tarasenko talked about himself, well, funny, in third person, which was really funny to me to read.
I hate people who talk in third person. I fucking hate it. You're not fucking special. You're not the fucking main character. It's just dumb.
But I saw it because he was talking about the brand of Vladimir Tarasenko.
It's so dumb. I don't like that.
The thing that's
so
great about
cocky, but I love it at the same time from Vladdy.
I hate it and I love it. Yeah.
I just hate it when other people do it. But Vladdy, I think he has a pass. I just hate people who talk in third person.
So Sean's thoughts on the Vladimir Tarasenko situation is that no one knows, and I don't think there's an interest out there for him right now.
You don't think there's interest from anybody?
Here's why I say that, and this might be a hot take. Him and Doug Armstrong haven't talked at all. Could I believe that Doug Armstrong hangs on to Vladimir Tarasenko for the rest of this year and then says, okay, good luck in free agency. Try and get that big dollar that you want. Try and get the Artemi Panarin $10 million range at 31 as a sniper who's had 2 surgeries on your shoulder. Good luck with that. And that is so fascinating to me that they haven't had any conversations or picked up any conversations with it. And that they're both just left in this purgatory of, we don't know what we're going to do in the next few weeks with trade deadline coming up. And on top of that, the interest that's grown on Ryan O'Reilly because he has no trade clause is through the roof. You hear Toronto wants him. I could see him going to Winnipeg. I can see him going to things. And like the trade that I think everyone hasn't talked about is Bo Horvat, who's the person I was hoping would replace Ryan O'Reilly if we were to make a trade for the long term, goes to the New York Islanders and he gets a first-round pick, a prospect, and a player back at Anthony Beauvillier. That is the perfect return that you would want for a Ryan O'Reilly. But here's the thing. You're getting an MVP in the playoffs through your playoff run. So if you take him to Toronto and you can get a first-round pick, their main prospect, I forget his name right off the top of my head, and a player back like Alexander Kerfoot, David Kampf from Toronto and whatnot, That would be amazing because you're paying that money to get a center shutdown MVP Conn Smythe winner from 2019 added into your playoff push.
Are you talking about Ty Voigt from the Maple Leafs?
No. It's another guy. I forget his name. I can look it up real
Is it
quick.
a center?
No. Give me 2 seconds and I could find it. But that's the.
I
big
have the
thing
list right here. I just didn't know. Well, if you could give me a position, I could start naming off names.
Oh, I don't know his position. I'm sorry.
There's a Brandon Lazowski, Fraser Minton.
No. All right, I found it. It's Matthew Nyes.
Uh,
Matthew Nyes from the 2021 entry draft. He's a very big player that the Maple Leafs. Yeah, he's a big player that the Maple Leafs have talked about. He's currently playing in the University of Minnesota in the same, I think that's Big Ten or NCAA as Jimmy Snuggerud too.
Snuggerud.
He has in 28 games played, he has 30 points, and he's lighting it up. Like, it's very interesting. Another trade piece that's also being talked about is Ivan Barbashev. He's the equivalent of a Barclay Goodrow kind of player, and a lot of other depth pieces. But it'll be interesting to see in the next 2 weeks what happens. I'm a firm believer that O'Reilly will be traded because the last time the Blues were in this situation, they had Paul Stastny as their center, and they traded him to Winnipeg for a first-round pick and a prospect in Eric Foley, who didn't turn out. I think he got a career-ending injury and or something like that. But that's just what I see. People want centers, and for whatever reason, there's not enough interest on Tarasenko to where I think Doug's answering the phones on it. Could it be a weird childish thing to think about is could it be a spiteful thing out of Doug saying, hey, I don't care what you think you're going to do with your career. I own your contract because I gave it to you. You're going to play it out with me. And if that's how it goes, I'm fine with that, honestly. I mean, thank God for the past 7-8 years of Vladimir Tarasenko. Now, it sucks that like 2 of those 7 to 8 years were injured, but I mean, he's going to finish in top 10 in a lot of Blues all-time records and whatnot. And to get that out of a draft pick, I can't complain.
Yeah, I think Vladdy will probably stay. Like, just like for the season, I don't think he's going to stay in free agency. I think he will leave. But I don't see, kind of like what you said, I think the interest is pretty low. I think O'Reilly will be gone by the deadline. I think he'll be a Maple Leaf, to be honest. I think they need a center, and I think that's a good fit for him.
A center depth of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, and Ryan O'Reilly.
That's a great...
Minus Austin Matthews, that's pretty much Canada's Olympic team in a nutshell, dude.
Yeah.
That's Canada. How wild that is. Canada, yeah. I had a banana for breakfast this morning, so I got those mixed up.
You had a banana?
Yeah, banana for Canada.
All right, so we'll move into the questions now, and then that will be the end. So, Adam, I'll let you go ahead and read the questions that we got today.
All right, I'll start with this one. It's from Reigns Renegade. Do you think Jordan Walker makes an opening day roster, and who starts on opening day?
For me, I think Jordan Walker. I want him to make the opening day roster. I'll make that clear. I don't know if he will. I think there's a world that he can, but if I want to put money on it, I don't think he will. I think he'll just miss, only because I think the Cardinals really want to see what they have with Tyler O'Neill, Carlson, and Nootbaar as their main outfield and just test it out. But I would not be surprised if he gets called up in June at all, kind of like with a Nolan Gorman situation. And even if he doesn't get called up at opening day, I don't think that's going to be a negative thing because it just gives him more time to get reps and get comfortable facing higher end pitching in AAA than he was in AA. And he just gets more comfortable playing defense in the outfield. So, yeah, I don't think he will, but I could see him being on the team in like June. And who starts opening day? It will probably be Adam Wainwright, if I had to guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's his last year. I'm not mad about that. I mean, it's either gonna be him or Flaherty, and I think they will let Adam Wainwright do the last opening day. Flaherty will have game 2 most likely. That's how I see everything going.
Yeah. All right. Well, next one from Just Juice. I think. Uh, this is the kind of just like piggybacking off the last question. Would you like to see Jordan Walker on the opening day roster?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would, but at the same time, I'm not gonna be upset if he isn't, just because I know I'm really high on O'Neal, Carlson, and
If you,
Newt.
yeah, I was
So
gonna say if you do, then you have to suspect there's a trade coming with it too.
well, if he does, I think you also have to look at there might be an injury. There might
Oh yeah, that's true
be,
too. Yeah,
I mean, there might be underperformance in the spring. Like, I mean, the
that
more
would be
players,
wild though.
the more players that are healthy and performing well, and Jordan Walker doesn't make it, the happier I'll be. Only because that means you have a whole bunch of options. But I would love to see Jordan Walker on opening day. So either way, I'm just excited to see opening day happen overall.
Be cool. I mean, that's all I heard was just
I
how
would,
fucking
well,
nasty
one
this
other
guy is.
thing,
I really want to see him.
one other thing. I do think they might be more inclined to have him on the opening day roster, just due to the new CBA and how now if you bring a guy up who's a top 100 prospect in his rookie year on opening day, if you put him on the opening day roster and he wins rookie of the year, which he is the favorite in Vegas to win rookie of the year, then you will have a free draft pick. I think it's a second round draft pick. I think it's like a compensation pick for it. That's
Really?
And then Jordan Walker, if he wins rookie of the year, he loses a year of service time, so he gets his money quicker. So it's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think time manipulation is not something the Cardinals have done in the past. They've really never been a big factor in that kind. Not like with Chris Bryant in the Cubs situation, but I think if Jordan Walker comes out and performs, he will be on the opening day roster. But at the same time, I think they want to see what they have with their three guys.
They want
And
to see their cards before they play their big hand.
exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah. And if he does make it, obviously I'll be ecstatic for him. And we'll all be I don't know if you're going to be there, Sean, but I know Adam and I will be at opening day.
Hopefully. I'm hoping on it.
We had to talk about
I'll
that
be there
before.
100%.
Yeah. I'll tell you
All
about that
right.
after the podcast, Adam.
This is from Brent Gossett. These are all on Twitter, by the way. Would you be in favor of a Tommy Edman extension, and what should the contract look like?
Now that I've read some of these questions beforehand, cheatingly, but this question was really interesting to me. I am not against a Tommy Edman extension, only because he's elite. He's an elite defender, and he could play second and shortstop for you. Now, there is another side of this where Mason Wynn comes up, and Brendan Donovan still exists. And what is Brendan Donovan's role? Is he going to stay the utility guy? Are they going to like him more at second? I don't think they will. I think they would rather have him be the utility and Edman be the second baseman. I think that's their dream, is have Edman second base, Wynn shortstop, Donovan as the utility guy. And but let's say Donovan comes out and just balls. I mean, I don't know. But as it stands right now, I would do a Tommy Edman extension, especially before it gets too late. This guy is always constantly at the top of WAR rankings. He is an elite defender. He is just a great piece to kind of like build around, like a scrappy kind of guy that is a Cardinal. Like, you think Cardinal, it's Tommy Edman. Like, let's hear it. But
I got a question for you, Brennan, on that. Is that his contract ends this year, right?
No.
Okay, next year.
I don't know. He's still in arbitration. I think this was his first year arbitration.
Because I was going to ask you, like, what are the free agents in his open year? Or
I don't really care about that. He still he's not going to be a free agent until 2026.
Okay, then never mind.
So I can see them I can see them buying up the ARB years maybe next year, but I can give him a contract I can see doing. It's kind of similar because it's kind of hard to kind of predict a contract.
Yeah, because I'm using my NHL brain with this, so that's why I'm trying to understand it. I
can see a deal kind of similar to the Jeff McNeil deal that he just signed, which was 4 years, $50 million, and then it has like incentives in there, and then it's an average annual salary of 12.5. and he earns a base salary of 6.25. And again, those are all with incentives and stuff. So I think that I think because Jeff McNeil is kind of like the same kind of, they're not similar players in that way, but they're like the scrappy players on the team. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what Jeff McNeil is. And I think that's what Tommy Edman would be. I think it might be a little higher annual salary than Jeff McNeil, only because of his defense of Tommy Edman. So I can see realistically, I think the highest he would get is like maybe 15, 16, if I had to guess. And that'd be 4 or 5 years with buying out the arb and stuff. That's what I would predict.
Last one. This is obviously for everybody, I'm assuming. This is from Juiced Out. Keep 2, trade 2. Newt, Edmund, Gorman, Donnie.
Jesus
Christ.
This
This one was hard. I saw this for a while.
So hard even now too, because we had to think on this for a while.
I think my Newt. I'm gonna pull up I have the questions right here. I'm gonna try to just so I can look at all the names at one time. Newt, Edmund, Gorman, Donnie. I know I just said extend Edmund, but I think I would trade him if out of these 4.
I think I agree.
Because you have Donovan and you have Wynn coming. So, but I don't know. You don't have a shortstop right now because you have to have Paul DeYoung play. So this is for so let's say we're just gonna assume this is for 2023. I'm gonna have to keep Edmund just because he's a shortstop. Dupar, it's kind of between. Do we want Donovan on the team? I think I do.
I'm keeping Donovan no matter what. That's for me.
Yeah, Donovan's staying.
So
Edmund's saying, I can't trade Newt. I can't. Even Gorman. Okay, I'll look at the way of who I would trade. You know what? Let's trade Gorman and Edmund.
That's who I was going with because you got to look at.
I hate that decision. I would never do that decision. But if I had for the keep 2 trade 2, that's probably who I would do. That's a hard question, but I would keep.
You also got to look at like this is all hypothetical, obviously, but like who has the most trade capital? Like who would benefit the Cardinals most from trading them?
That's a good point too. I didn't even if you think about it that way.
Yeah, you know, because how I always think about trades.
Gorman Newt. Maybe it's
that's what I was thinking because it's like whose position can be taken care of without like that's what I'm saying. Whose position can be taken care of and not be
Gorman. Holy
shit. And then not be like, okay, it's not a big deal. We got rid of him, but they didn't lose the trade because they benefited that they got some got some starting arms for him. You know what I mean?
I love these questions, but I also hate them because they're
the worst.
They just I don't like my answer.
I like how Adam broke it down. So
I like that. I like that kind of thinking where you're like thinking about who, like what the value is. I mean, if you trade Newt and Gorman, you're gonna get a pretty big piece.
Right, so. And if you do desperate and this honestly, it's not even like a hypothetical question because like, what if Jack Flaherty doesn't pan out who he needs to be?
Don't say that.
What if this is all what if? Flaherty. This is all what if. Just listen. If your starting pitching isn't doing the job at all, everybody on the field is like your offense is showing off. All 4 of those guys are having a hell of a season. They're doing pretty good, but your starting arms are losing games for you. Your relieving arms are losing. Your closers, whoever it is, are losing games for you. For the deadline, who are you going to get rid of that you feel comfortable getting rid of that you can get some good pitching for rather than and have somebody take their spot and not be a huge deal?
Well, I think the thing I don't know. I don't like this question. Let's move on.
That was the last one.
All right. Well, yeah. But my final answer would be Edmund Gorman. That's my final answer for that one. But anyway, so today that kind of wraps everything up. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Cardinals rotation and just their pitching staff since we talked about mainly the lineup and the depth of the offensive side today. So next week, we'll be talking about the pitching.
Do you want to go long real quick just to do a quick Super Bowl prediction?
Oh, we're doing that next week, too.
Okay.
That'll be
if you want to talk about your local team, Brennan, that good old Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, they're my local team. They're my local team.
Adam, I got
Chiefs versus it was Bengals versus refs. I'm getting that out right now.
No, it wasn't.
Bengals versus refs.
No, it was not.
Okay,
I've never said that in my
listen,
career. I've never said that.
Why? Joe Burrow didn't have that good of a game either. So how is it like he had opportunity? The penalties that happened against him, they didn't do anything about like I don't know what I'm saying.
Exactly.
It wasn't
you can't argue with me. You can't argue with me.
Hang on. The officiating was bad.
Terrible.
It was terrible. But the officiating did not result into the Chiefs winning.
Yes, it did.
How? Because the one play that got him closer to the field goal
because of a penalty. What? Which was you guys were moved into a field goal spot with 10 seconds left because of a penalty.
Yeah, because that penalty was rightfully called.
But you guys got 3 extra downs before. I'm not even talking.
No, that wasn't even before that.
We're saving it for next week.
That was a different drive. That was a completely different drive, Adam.
We'll save it for next week.
We're saving it for next week.
The one thing I did want to hit on though, real quick.
Don't disrespect Mahomes. He's gonna destroy
disrespecting the Chiefs as an organization.
Okay, Adam.
I gotta ask you a question. Get destroyed.
I have to ask you this question because I got in a yelling match while I was in the office with Brennan on this.
No, this is stupid.
Okay, who should be Brennan's local team for football?
Because my Rams left, so I had to pick a team.
He left the Rams leave, so he has to choose a different team, right? I recently got into football about 3 or 4 years ago, and through my girlfriend, I became a Baltimore Ravens fan. You are a Raiders fan. Yeah. They just moved to Las Vegas, but you are from Ohio, right?
Yeah.
So who should Brennan's local team be? Should he just choose any team that he wants to choose, as in like have the freedom to go to like, let's say, follow the Rams, go to the Chargers, hell, go support the New York Jets? I don't care. But his whole argument to me is, well, they're in Missouri, so it's my local team. I have to support.
It's my local team.
Brennan,
it's the local team. It's the local team.
It's the same drive time from St. Louis to Kansas City as it is to Indianapolis. So is the Colts my local team?
No, because they're in Missouri. The Missouri is like Chiefs Kingdom. So they are the local team.
I can't believe it's still a stupid argument.
Kingdom.
You are in Chiefs Kingdom, Sean. Get over it. No,
I'm all the way with Baltimore Ravens. And
you're a Baltimore Ravens fan in Chiefs Kingdom. Good luck.
Yeah, no, I'm undercover.
At least I was thinking about like when the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
No, that's not going to happen.
I wanted to go to Philadelphia for the parade because like before the Chiefs game, I was like, I want to go to Cincinnati for the Super Bowl parade after the Cincinnati Bengals if they win. I was thinking about it because like if I were to go to one, it'd probably be Kansas City because I feel safe. To be honest, if we Philadelphia, I'd probably get mugged.
I've been to Philly one time, and it's a very strange experience.
I'm going to Philadelphia in a few weeks too.
I hated it. I hated it.
Don't call me when you need help because I'm only like 3 hours away.
I think I'm passing by. I'll tell you about that after too.
If you go through Steubenville, let me know.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end it here. But yeah, next week we talk about Super Bowl, and you can see how heated it's probably gonna be. And then where we talk about the Cardinals rotation, just the outlook of that. So kind of a split episode. But hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you liked it, make sure you like, comment, and share and subscribe. Make sure you have the notification bell on because we drop shorts and different videos throughout the week, recapping of what we talked about the previous week. And that way you don't miss an episode that drops. And again, if you are watching on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify, we are available on all platforms, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you can find it. We have TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, the whole thing. So make sure you follow all of us to stay updated on everything. And we'll see you guys next week.